Hello, hello, everyone. Listen to another episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McKain, and I'm here with Tristan Scarborough. This man, he is a middleweight and a lightweight, light heavyweight. He is 2-0 as an amateur, and honestly, watching him and listening, and if you actually read his record, he's TKO guy. He goes for the knockout and he finishes guys. So Tristan, when did you first start? When did you know that the fight game was for you?
So the first time I ever trained MMA was with my friend, Ardit Haisa, who is a pro. He was a pro at the time, and he had a guy that he trained with named Sean Spath, who's also a pro, and he refs for Spartica. They were down and they were going to go train. And me and Ardit were hanging out before, and he was like, "You want to come train with us?" And I was like, "Sure." I've watched UFC before. So I went, and we did boxing with takedowns. And I took one good shot from Sean, actually, got my mouth busted open.
Ooh.
But I never stopped. We kept going. And at the end of it, I was like, yeah, I like this. Let's keep doing this. So from then, I started training with Ardit kind of off and on at first. And then as time went on, I got more dedicated to it. And then after I got done with school in Elizabeth City, I came out here to Greenville and started training full-time under Rodrigo Galvanosi at Fearless Fighting.
Yes, sir.
And after it was probably about 8 months, good, solid training there, I took my first fight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you were a football player at first. Is that where the physicality comes from? Because you're a big guy.
Yeah, definitely. I played offensive line and defensive line, so I used to be way bigger.
Okay. And how has football helped you in the fight game, do you think?
I feel like football kind of helps with anything in life, just with the discipline, the toughness you learn from it. It just really gives you a good path to having a strong mindset,
Yes,
learning to overcome adversity.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, like, your fighting style is Thai boxing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, how would you handle a wrestler? So you're a guy. You're fist first. Have you ever had to face a guy who's a straight wrestler, and how would you handle that?
Well, I have yet to face one that really wanted to wrestle. My first two opponents, the first one was more of a striker, and the second one was definitely a jiu-jitsu guy. He wanted to take it to the ground, but he couldn't get it. He couldn't get it there. I don't know how good he was at getting it there, or if he was just good at being down there on the ground. We can get a chance to find out. But yeah, when it comes time, I mean, I've trained with guys like Carlos Martinez before, so I know the ground game. I've trained in it. I just like stand up. That's just what I like. So it's not that I don't have a ground game. I just don't really choose to use it.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, if it goes there, I feel pretty comfortable there.
Well, I've noticed with bigger guys, it's almost kind of dangerous. I feel like, because all big guys do is throw haymakers. I mean, one shot really can end it all. Do you is that your mentality too? Like, you just want to get guys out of there?
Yeah. See, I want to get guys out of there, but I don't really worry about just landing one big shot or whatever. If you notice, I try to focus a lot on volume, just throwing a lot of strikes out there. I don't really try to put too much into my shots. I feel like the power's there, just coming with the technique. So the more I put out there, the more chances I have to just put somebody out. I'd say the reason more that I think for me, I don't want the fight to go to the scorecards,
Right.
mostly because it just wouldn't feel complete to me. I feel like for the fight to have some sort of conclusion, there needs to be a finish. And I mean, let's be honest, that's what the fans are looking for. They want to see finishes. The promoters want to see finishes. that you got to know the game, and that's what they want. So you give it to them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, my next question to you is, what is the training like? What are some of the training differences that you've seen from football to now as a mixed martial artist? Like, what are some of the training habits that you do differently, and what has that process been like for you?
Um, hmm. Honestly, they're a lot alike, depending on who the coaches you have. But for me, they've been a lot alike because I was blessed to have a really good football coach, and I've been blessed with a really, really good uh, MMA coach. And that a lot of the conditioning is kind of on me to do, which I feel that's how it should be. Because if you don't have the discipline to complete your own conditioning, you're never going to make it anyway. So we just focus so much on details and technique and trying to make sure everything is picture perfect. And that's a lot of the way that the football program at First Flight was run. Coach Prince came from college, so he knew how important technique was, and we didn't have, the best athletes. So we had to overcome it with technique. So in a lot of ways, I feel like they have kind of intertwined pretty well for me. A lot of what I learned from football is carried over well.
I got you. I got you. So when it comes to studying your fight game, your fight style, was there anyone who your trainers tried to compare you, say, okay, you need to study this guy, you need to study that guy? Was there anybody in particular who they said they want you to look similar to this? Or like, how did you learn what your fight style was going to be like fighting professionally or as well as amateur?
Um, I'd say more so there's things that like I've watched and started to implement into my game. Uh, my coaches never really had to like ask me to do things like that, only because I watch all the fights anyway. Like I'm always watching, I'm always trying to learn. I mean, I'm a fan, but I also watch them in terms of being a fighter, trying to learn different things. Um, let's see. I think I fight a lot of the same style that Dustin Poirier does.
Mm,
Um, a lot of pressure, technical boxing. Um, to an extent, Paulo Costa, even though I feel like he can get a little wild.
yeah.
Uh, when he wants to be technical, he can be technical. But I feel like those guys are pretty good comps for what I try to do in there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you have a fight coming up November 6th. Okay. What are your expectations for the fight? And how much training do you do on a daily to get prepared for this next fight?
Uh, so for the training, I do my heavy conditioning in the morning. Um, I try to get, at least 3 to 5 miles in.
Mm,
Um, when I get my conditioning in, and I'll mix it up. Sometimes I'll do like steady state cardio and just try to work the long duration. And then other times I'll mix it up with HIIT on the stationary bike and stuff like that, just to work with the heart rate. That way, if the fight becomes a long, drawn out thing, I'm used to that. If it turns into a firework fight right off the bat and I've got to take care of it early, then my heart rate's ready for that as well. And then in the night is when I do my technique work with my coaches. A couple hours there
yes,
for
sir.
now, at least until after I get a chance to turn pro. I'd love to train more, but I got to have time to make money.
That's right.
So I can support myself for now. So once I have the opportunity to turn pro and I can train more, I'm excited for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, what are some of the what is it like being somebody who's fighting your last two fights? You're fighting in front of crowds and people are cheering you on, but you're not getting paid. Um, what are some of the challenges that you have to go through on the daily trying to become a professional?
Um, let's see. To me, I feel like does it suck to not make money right off the bat? Yeah, it does. But at the same time, I feel like that's something that's earned. I don't feel like I don't feel like you should be paid to go fight without earning it first. You should be getting paid because you're good enough and you've earned the right to be paid for people to watch you fight. So I mean, I kind of just think that that time will come, and I'll be ready for it when it does.
Yes, sir. So you're saying the resume, building up your resume so people can see the history and say, okay, I want to work with this guy. Let's sign him to a Bellator, UFC, or a PFL.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, they should just be paid for fighting and then, as time goes on, they think that, like, because they've had some fights, they should be paid more. That stuff's earned. I mean, in a lot of ways, you're paid what you're worth. So if you want to be paid more, make yourself worth more.
Better.
That comes back to the finishes. Is the more you the more finishes you get, the better opportunities that you're going to get. The better pay is going to come down the line because the promotion is going to see you as more valuable. So, I mean, as an amateur, you're giving them a chance to see what you're going to provide for them when you do turn pro. So you'll determine what your money's going to be now.
Wow.
It's kind of the same. I mean, it's the same thing with how college sports work.
Yeah.
You got look at Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence he started his career as 25-0, been to 2 national championships in 2 years, and everybody's like, he's the number 1 overall draft pick. Like, there's no discussions about it. That's because he's given the resume for that. So therefore, he's earned what he's going to make.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense when it comes to that. But you said something about getting better over time too. Are there some differences? Are there some things that you've learned over your time from being in your first fight to now? What are some of the things that you've improved on?
I mean, I try to improve every day, especially on my technique. I'd say the biggest differences between the guy who stepped in to the cage for my first fight and the guy that's going to step into the cage next week is understanding the differences between seeing an opportunity in there and creating the opportunity. Instead of just waiting for something to open up, now I feel like I've learned the ability to use certain tools to create the opportunities that I want.
Got you. So Tristan, what are your personal keys to success? Like, if some kid like saw you knock out a fighter, they're like, okay, Tristan, I want to be somebody who fights like you. What are some of the keys that you would let that kid know of?
Don't take your first fight before you're ready. Don't be one of those guys that trains for 2 months and thinks that they're going to go in there and destroy everybody. Some of those guys that do that will get a win off the bat, right? But the further down the line they get, the more and more exposed they get. So just go at your own pace. Don't let somebody else's success or failures determine what you're going to do. Best way I can say it is learn how you learn. Just because, someone else is your age and they're a pro or they're in the UFC doesn't mean that your journey is going to be less successful.
Wow.
You'll get there when your time is due. I mean, there's guys in the UFC that are younger than me, and I'm just starting out. And I don't take that as an insult. Good for them. I'm coming. I'll be there on my own terms.
Yes, sir. I like that, man. I like that. A lot of people, they do compare themselves to others, and they feel that. But you're right. Everybody's got their different journey. So I
Exactly.
respect that, man. My next question to you is, where can people find you on social media? And expectations for the fight November 6th.
On social media, I have my Facebook, which is just Tristan Scarborough, and as well as my Instagram it's just Tristan Scarborough. So just my name. The Instagram is no spelling. Expectations for the fight. From what I've seen, this guy likes to throw hands, which I love it. I'm here for it. We'll put on a good show. I think I get it done within 2 rounds, which is second round's kind of been my round. First 2 fights. So I'll say second round. Who knows? It could be earlier, but I'm looking forward to it. I've been waiting all throughout this quarantine to get it done. So I'm excited to get back on track. I can't really say what they were, but I had a lot of opportunities that got taken away because of COVID. So I'm excited to get back on the horse, and hopefully this thing clears up, and we can be smart as a country, get it taken care of, so I can get on with my career.
Exactly. I feel you. So, is there a link where people can buy it online or anything like that?
Yeah, so I posted the link on my Instagram. It's in my Instagram bio, as well as it's on my Facebook to buy tickets. Tennessee actually has fans now for their events. So I'll be fighting in front of fans, which is pretty cool. And then eventually, I'm not sure when, but there will be a pay-per-view link posted as well.
Yes,
So I'll be sure to post that when I figure it out.
Well, everybody, make sure to check out Tristan's fight. It's November 6th, and definitely when you'll see the link in the bio for all this stuff. We'll put that in for you. So thank you very much, Tristan. We really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.